No philosophy by which I can do a thing if I think I cannot. One of the things that I realized early on as a patient is that there was this thing in chiropractic called philosophy. And it actually distinguished us from every other form of healthcare out there. I had learned about the art and the science, and ironically at the time, I couldn't figure out what the argument was in chiropractic as a patient. I would go to seminars. This was long before I was involved in teaching and consulting. I would go to the seminars, sit as an attendee, and after those seminars was over, I would go for dinner, and I'd listen to chiropractors talk about their differences in philosophy in chiropractic. Whether or not they believed it was primarily musculoskeletal, whether or not they were subluxation based, whether or not they were just, as I realized they used to call it strain and mixing, I understand. To me as a patient, it actually didn't matter. Because in my opinion, the chiropractic adjustment is the chiropractic adjustment is the chiropractic adjustment. It really is. And as a patient, I really could care less about the argument between the chiropractors that I would observe often. But what I liked about the argument and the debate is that what we were trying to do was create a philosophy that we could all live with. A congruency between how we live, what we believe, determines our philosophy. Interestingly enough, I also used to hear there was no science to support subluxation. I used to hear that a lot. And I thought to myself, well, that's going to be a problem for me as I go out into the world and speak to patients primarily about chiropractic. Because the analytical world of thinking requires research. We want research. We want to know that we can prove it, see it. But healing is not tangible. That's the problem. But the beauty of today with quantum physics, cell biology, is that we have science supporting things that D. Palmer and B.J. knew. That's cool. So if I say here there's no science, I just ask what science you're looking at. Because I believe there is science that supports the philosophy of chiropractic. But here's the thing, if we don't believe that and we don't think, we're not sure about it, we practice differently, we talk to patients differently, and we live our lives differently. If I know for sure that a patient is better off under care than not, that's the message I'm going to tell. Because the philosophy in which I live by is that my body requires some help through the chiropractic adjustment and a lot of work in my lifestyle to keep my health potential at an optimum peak performance all the time. I know that. Does that mean I never have symptoms? No. By the end of the day, you will see me in flat shoes. I'm going to have symptoms. But what it means is my philosophy that I teach is that the human body is this dynamic, energetic, physical and energetic connection together. There are two things in the human body. There's energy and then there's matter. And my philosophy is that I can do something about my health potential. And therefore, that's what I teach other people. If your philosophy is that there's nothing anybody can do for their health potential, that's how you will practice. And it will become like we used to have in our practice, where patients came in and expected the doctor to heal them, rather than understanding they heal themselves. Possibility is interesting in chiropractic because it's intangible. I talked earlier about my story. I talked about the possibilities that we all have. Through the chiropractic adjustment, it's the opportunity to learn information. Information is what heals your patients primarily. Getting a handle on our brain and our thought processes is how we heal. That's way, way, way better for a patient to understand that than anything else. Because they will start to change the way they act, because they will see a possibility for their health greater than what they currently hold for themselves. And the only reason somebody is going to see that is because you hold a philosophy of healing that you pass on to them. And that becomes possibility. I don't usually read, but I just want to read this Power of Belief, which is about possibility. For more than 100 years, runners tried to break the 4-minute mile. It was considered the holy grail of track and field. Many said it couldn't be done. In fact, doctors wrote articles in medical journals explaining why it was physically impossible to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. However, in 1954, a British medical student, Roger Bannister, ran the mile in 3:59:04. His amazing accomplishment made headlines around the world. Yet what happened next was even more amazing. The 4-minute mile was broken again and again and again. In fact, since then, it has been broken more than 700 times. What happened? The training stayed the same, the genes were the same, the human body was the same, but for the first time ever, people could see the possibility. There is no philosophy by which I can do a thing if I think I cannot. In chiropractic today, we have possibilities that we can't even see yet. And in order for us to see those possibilities, A, you have to surround yourself with the right people, but B, you have to develop a purpose and a philosophy within you. Feeling lost in chiropractic was something that we spent years feeling. The first 5 years of our practice where we had no philosophy, and we weren't sure how to describe what we were doing. The result was a practice where we felt lost. Our patients were lost. They came in and their life was no different because they were in our office than not. That was the problem for us. We had to develop a philosophy to teach people that there's something that they can do about it. And in order for us to teach it, we had to own it first. So you have to own your philosophy, whatever it is. We definitely don't go around the world trying to tell people to own our philosophy, because each of us have our own stories in our lives. But it is possible to see something bigger than what you're currently seeing in your practice today. It is possible.